Good morning, Hoppaday. So today's live stream is going to be something that I haven't done on this channel. Even though I do have one type of this, of what I'm about to do at the very start of when I started this channel over a year ago. So I thought it would be about time that I try to dabble in that area. And what that area is, you wonder, is to do a little crafting. So I like working with a handful of different type of mediums, you know, where either you're painting or I have even dabbled in making t-shirts, even the different types, because this was screen print. I even have the iron-on type stuff, but the one that I've come to love using most is resin. Resin, you know, it's just like with a lot of different mediums. Resin is very versatile. And I even had it as a little side business for a little while, making all different types of things, from jewelry, accessories, keychains. And I at one point I even showed some of those samples on a live stream, t-shirts. And then that changed. We got more into doing the food truck business, but so doing the crafting kind of just got pushed to the side. So I haven't worked with resin in a very long time, so I don't even know what it's going to be like in trying to put something together. But good morning. Thank you for popping in. We're just going to try and do a little crafting. With the keyword be try. It's been so long since I've worked with resin. Hi, good morning. Thank you for popping in. I'm just going to attempt to do some crafting this morning. But like I said, I work with resin, and you've got ones that, these are just some of the different brands, you know, that you can find at Hobby Lobby, Michael's. But you've got, and then there's stuff that I've actually ordered online. But you've got those that takes hours or days even for the resin to set. And then you've got resin that by using UV light, it just takes minutes. So that's the one that I'm actually going to try and work with this morning. I don't have a lot left of it, so we're going to, like I said, the keyword is try. But with what I'm going to make, I've got my little mold here. These I used to do jewelry back in the day, and these are just some of the leftover stuff that I had. But yeah, they're just all sitting in a bag. But I was looking for stuff, and you know how it is when you're like, oh, I remember this stuff that gets packed away. But so that right there is made from this type of resin, the one that you can use a UV light on. And then I stuck a flower in there and some glitter, and then I glued it on to. Hi, Wendy. Thank you for popping in. And then these are one of my more favorite ones. This I used acrylic paint. It's known as the, if I can get it out, acrylic skin. But these were one of my more favorite ones to make. But that's not what we're doing today. If you want to know how I make acrylic skin, in the description box, I'll go ahead and include it later after the fact. But it's one of the first videos that's on my channel. on how to make acrylic skin. That's just one of the samples. Here's another one. This will actually be just in time for Valentine's, this specific necklace. Like I said, you know, I work a lot with resin, and that's what we're going to try to do today. If I have enough, I'll probably make a mermaid tail using the silicone molds. And some of you guys might recognize this, but what I use, sometimes I have a flashlight, but my husband actually borrowed my flashlight, so I don't have it with me. But when you're using the UV resin, you can also use these. So instead of, hey Corey, oh, because I have your live streams. I don't know if you're done with it, but I do have that going on still downstairs. I'm just doing a little crafting this morning. I took a break from trying to do my stuff for the taxes. But thank you for popping in. But yeah, so whenever you're working with UV resin, especially if you've got larger products, you know, you don't necessarily have to stick it in there like that. What I end up doing is I remove the base, and then I just place this directly on top. Just like that. Whatever piece I have in the mold, I just put it right on top. And it literally just takes minutes to getting it just, the tax season has just started, so still got time. But yeah, I'm trying not to be a procrastinator because I'm really bad at that. So but I'm gonna try and make a couple of pieces on this mold. I just haven't decided on whether I want to do a heart shape, round, but what I can do, because see, I still have these. I still have some of these supply pieces left, to where if I make the round ones, which, or even this is how I know if it's going to fit in the mold or not. Do I have any round ones? Okay. So this right here I know will fit. These glass pieces I know will fit. So with the mold, depending on how, you know, with how much I want it to curve, I guess, is I just put it in one of the molds to see which one's going to be the best fit. So that one is just a tad small. Now this one fits better, this specific mold, but I already know it is a little bit deeper compared to the well in this one. So I think this would still fit. Yeah, that one would still fit. And it'll probably be about the same height as that one. So I think we'll work with the round one. But when I'm working with resin, I use a whole, you know, a lot of different stuff. I use glitter to decorate it. Then even the glitters themselves come in different type. I guess more of that's the powder. A mixture of different glitters. And I even use, I forgot to bring it over here. I do glow-in-the-dark stuff, glow-in-the-dark powder. All right, So let's do 2. All right. Trying to see what's going to be the best route. Like I said, I haven't worked with resin in a long time. It's been well more than a year, probably 2 years. So I might be a little rusty. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. Do I want to work with glitter? All right. So what I'm going to do is just test it out. So like I said, I'm using UV resin today. And I don't have a lot left of it. So I don't even know how much of this is going to pan out. Hey, nieceys. Good morning. Aw, I'm sorry that you're not feeling good, nieceys. But thank you so much for popping in. You actually get to catch me doing a little crafting, or at least trying to. But I hope you're feeling better very soon. I guess getting out in the weather early in the morning might have gotten to you. All right. Let me just clear out. All right, let me see if I can get this. That way you guys can see this, or at least try to. Just trying to clear out anything that might be in there right now. I'm going to pour a little bit of this in here. Just so I can get a base. That's the downside about working with, UV resin. I'm right by a window, so you got to be careful. Or even in using the machine. Just trying to see if there was any bubbles in there. All right. Just turning on the machine. I actually had the first one that I started out with, and yes, these are the ones that you would use for nails. I did have a slightly smaller one. So I had this one here. You can see it is a little bit smaller from this one. But this one, the bigger one, of course, just allows me to work with larger pieces. But, working with resin, like I said, it's so versatile. And like I said, with this right here, this mermaid tail mold, I also used to create pieces like this. So this is a jewelry table, basically, to where you can put your earrings to hang from here, or your rings. You can put your makeup brushes or, whatever inside of this, and lay even just some of your jewelry pieces on top of this. But these were one of the items that I had made in the past. I think that should be good because it was just a small amount. Just taking a short break. We'll be back live doing DoorDash, etc. Okay. All right. So which one? Shall we do cherry or shall we do wine? Which color? This is the cherry. That's the wine color. I'm actually going to do a mix. I'm going to do a little bit of the powder, the wine, but I'm going to just test it out and see what it's going to look like. by adding a little bit of the glow in the dark stuff behind it. Can you guys see what I'm doing? I don't know if I have the camera close enough. It's one of the cats in here. Wicked, are you in here? All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of the glow in the dark. Probably going to change the color. But when I love some of the pieces that I had made in the past that was glow in the dark. So hopefully this comes out. I was hoping I would have some of the lighter glitter. Nope, that's not the right kind of glitter. There we go. That way it matches with the wine color. Since I've got a little bit of a glow in the dark in here, let's add some glitter. Hopefully it'll bring out oh, it's under the messages. I just caught that, Nisi, sorry. But here you go. So I've got some of the UV resin. I've got the wine color powder in there. And I've got glitter and a little bit of the glow in the dark. All right, so let's give that a try. We're gonna put this under the so that way I don't have to move it. I usually do it for the 1.5 minutes for this one here. But then after that, I'm going to do a mermaid tail on this one here. And since we used the wine color, I'm going to do a mixture of the cherry. Those are too close in color. That's also glow in the dark. Maybe we can do a little bit of pink and purple for the mermaid tail. And what I do is I do use the epoxy glue. Whenever that piece is done, I usually put a little bit in the, see, I've even already forgotten the names of these pieces, but I'll put it in the middle there so I can glue that down. Or what I sometimes do is I'll add one of these pieces. So if I wanted to turn it into an earring or a necklace, I'll actually glue these flat pieces here to the back of them. So then that way I can turn it into where it's something that I can hang without having to, I mean, because this could still be turned into a necklace with a pendant, but sometimes this just changes it up by using that type of piece. And I dropped some pieces there. All right, let's see how this came out. I'm just going to do it for another 30 seconds. I just want to make sure that it's completely hardened all the way through. So even though you're using the resin, the UV resin, sometimes you just got to be careful with if it's not completely hard as you're messing with it. And that's the other thing there too. You can get your fingerprints on there if it is still a little bit on the soft side. Even if it's just a little bit, you're going to end up getting an imprint on that. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've worked with resin. So, all right. Yep. What I ended up making it turn into, because like I said, it's been a while since I've worked with the resin. So this actually would still work if it was for, and see, it's still a little bit what do you call that, sticky. And then sometimes I would use the rubbing alcohol to help with that. But what does this remind you of, really? It's like an eyeball, because what I ended up doing first is I put a little drop of the clear resin before I started adding the other mix to it. So it gave it a little bit of that eyeball effect. Like I said, this is glow in the dark. So I'm just trying to see if I can even activate it from the, since I'm right by my window. Oh my gosh. Let me see if you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? Wait. Let me activate that a little bit more. I mean, it was just under the light, so let me see if you guys come on already. I'm trying to get it so you guys can. All right. Let me close my curtain there. And see, because you guys can actually see the little rim around there, but why can't I? Okay, hold on. Let me do this way. No, I don't want you to come on. Let me unplug that so then you guys can see it. You guys see that in there? No? All right, let me see if I can do it this way. There. Can you guys see that? It's hard for me to tell if you guys can see it. There. I can't tell if you guys... Can you guys see how that's glowing in the dark? I do apologize if I can't get that true effect on there, but I accidentally created an eyeball. So if you're trying to create, if you're into doll making and whatnot, that's one way to do that. It's a two-part step. So then that way, like I said, that little ring around there, that's with the glow in the dark. That's the glow in the dark powder. So let's see what it fit. All right. So that was just playing around with that one. Now let's see if I can do a little better. It is still a little sticky. So I'm just gonna turn that on and let that cook. And look at that. Even as it's under the UV light. Can you guys see that? You can see the glow in the dark powder being activated. Hey Alex, good morning. You caught me doing just a little bit of crafting. All right, let's see if we can because the downside is that it's going to tip my phone over. Yep, I don't like it. It doesn't like being leaned over that much. So I do apologize that you guys can't see this too well. All right. So I am now going to make a mermaid tail. And I'm going to be using pink and purple. Let me just pour it in there. It'll be easier to spread out. The thing too about working with molds is you want to make sure you're getting into the crevices. Because if you want that color, without having any empty spaces, and once I pour the resin in here and get it mixed, the loose powder, because right now you can see that there is loose powder still going on, but once I pour the resin into this, that'll get mixed into the resin. Oops, sorry, you guys weren't even seeing that. And do I have... trying to see if there was any glitter. Now we're going to do the pink. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and spread that around. I mean, especially with this type of mold, you know, it's got the what's supposed to be the scales. So I just want to make sure that I get that nice scaly effect with that color. I'm also getting the edges to make sure that I get the walls as well covered. Because even though the walls itself of this mold is more on the flat side, still want to make sure you get the color on there. So I want these colors to stand out. All right, let's go ahead and add some of the resin. Now what's going to end up happening, and that's okay, because even though I'm using two colors, you can see that, even though I'm using two colors with the pink and the purple, once I add the resin, it might start to blend right here. That's okay. And then all I'm going to do is try to get that mixed, starting with the pink since that's the lighter color. And if I wanted to, I could always add just a little bit more of the powder pigment just to make sure that I do get enough of the color mixed into the resin. And I said this once before in my post recently, talking about I need to get back into crafting. I would find this therapeutic, especially because if it comes out good, if it comes out the way I, you know, picture it in my head, because how many times do we, especially for those of you guys doing anything creative, whether it be writing, drawing, whatever, painting, you get the image in your head and that's what you try to create, and then, you know, the finished product, and then you're like, yay, it came out even more beautiful than I thought, or whatever, or, you know, on the positive side, but then it's like, huh, oops. Get over there. Get in there. Then it's like, that's not what I thought. And with the UV resin, you can order these online, or you can even go to a local craft store. Um, you can find it at Michael's, Hobby Lobby. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me bring it down a little bit closer. Part of it seems to keep wanting to mix into the pink side. And like I said, it's okay if it tries to blend right here from the tail to the, because that's okay. That's kind of what you want, is to get a little bit of that blending. It's like the purple side is not mixing as well as the pink side. There we go. There we go. I have to do it. I have to do it. It's probably going to get too mixed in there, but mix, 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 mix. Losing some of that pink color to it, but that's okay. I just added some of the glow in the dark. I'm trying to hurry now that I added the glow in the dark powder so it doesn't settle too much at the bottom. Okay. I can see some bubbles, and normally I would whenever you're working, I would have a lighter, the ones that you would use for the and I don't have any in here. But normally when you got bubbles, when you're working with resin, whether it be the UV or the one that has to sit to set, I would take the lighter and I would just, put it over it just to pop the bubbles. But this is the back side, so that's okay to have those flaws. But whenever you're working with resin, because you're mixing, because you're stirring, that's what's going to happen, is you're going to develop bubbles. And then sometimes what I would also use is, let me see if I can do that. Is my handy dandy mini blow dryer type thing. See, it's popping the heat will pop the bubbles for the most part. All right, let's get it under the lamp. Now this one, because it's got more on it, I'm going to be cooking it for a little bit longer than I did my first piece, which again, my glow-in-the-dark eyeball. Let me see if I can try it again. All right, it's not as activated as it was. Can you guys see that? Nope, you can't. Let me try my other hand. There, you can kind of see it. Let me, I'm going to put it on the windowsill for a minute so it can get activated. It's cooking. You guys see that? It's a cooking. Now, what I ended up remembering about working with UV resin is that you're going to have a lot of mistakes with the UV resin, depending on the size you end up working with. Because as I'm remembering, and plus, like I said, it's been a it's been a long time since I've worked with the resin, so this has been sitting. So I don't know, and what that does to the resin, you know, as it's been sitting. I know it's been more than a year since I've used this. I didn't even touch this last year, and maybe it was the beginning part of 2023, possibly. Not even, I think the last time I might have used this was 2022. So, and if I'm remembering correctly, I probably should not have had because if it overheats too much, and as what I'm seeing right now, it's kind of bubbled. It's not flat because of the heat with the resin. It almost caused it to rise a little bit. I am just way out of practice. I mean, like I said, for those of you guys that weren't here at the beginning, you know, this is just one of the resin products that I've done in the past. This one right here was supposed to be your jewelry tray, because you can put your brushes or, you know, your bracelets inside here. You can hang your earrings on the tails. And with this one here, the pointed one, that's where you can put your ring, or it can even hang on here. But yeah, when I was doing it more often. All right, I think it's gotten, yep. You can see the glow in the dark a little better. There you go. All right, let's see how my mermaid tail came out. And I'll show you guys here too. If you look, you can see how it's got a little bit of a hump to it. But that's okay. You know, with something like this, and probably what I didn't do was, as you can probably see, that I didn't fill it up all the way. I know they do come out better. I'm trying to see if I can find one. When I use the regular the regular resin that you have to let sit for hours, if not days, depending on the size. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. It's coming out. Nope. It didn't completely set. I think what ended up happening, because yep, and that's what's happened in the past with some of my pieces in working with UV resin, is that the only thing that ends up cooking is the top. Because right now it's only the top part that's hard. There is still liquid or some of the UV resin under there. So it's not done. So that's one of the downsides about working with the quick setting resin. And plus, I don't know if this is still good because it's been 1.5 to 2 years since I've been using these. Since I used it and it's been open. So and then this one here, I even bought, and this is what happens if you let it, see, even though it's in a box and I never even opened it, if it sits in storage, it still has the tendency or possibility to leak. So I'm going to open it and see, because this brand that I had bought, that I had ordered, and some of them I've ordered on Amazon, while others I may have ordered from a specific, and I can't even remember some of them, where that's pretty much all it is. It's, resin products, kind of like where you would find molds. Like I said, this has been sitting, and as you can see back here, that's unfortunately, that's what's going to happen if you don't use it and you just let it sit in storage. But typically when you buy the resin, it's a 2-part. The ones that you have to set, it's a 2-part thing. Hey Candy, I'm sorry if you guys, Justin, I'm sorry that DJ, Mario, thank you guys so much for popping in. I do apologize that I haven't been staring at my the messages or the comments that are coming in. Presley, how are you? But like I said, it's a 2-part thing. Some of them do come with gloves, but I had my own. And then because it's a 2-part thing, they do have the mixing cups, for part A and part B. If you guys are still there, thank you guys so much for popping in. I'm just attempting to try and craft again. But because, when I'm working with the regular resin, the cups, I may still use these, but with these type of things, you would have to clean them out afterwards. So what I end up doing is, for the most part, I use cups. So I pour part A and part B, because you want to measure them out. But so you got part A, and it comes with mixing sticks. These little tongue depressor things. And part B. So it looks like it was part B that might have, even though I didn't open it, it looks like it was part B that may have leaked a little bit. No? I don't know. Maybe it was just sweating in the box. I don't know. It was sitting in a box. More gloves. Or actually, these are just individual ones. One for the left, one for the right. And then it also comes with a little bit of a cheat sheet. So if you're wanting to get into it, it does tell you the instructions in reference to how to mix it. Because like I said, it's a 2-part thing, and it's 1-to-1. With this specific one, it's 1-to-1. There are some resin products that, the mixing products that You might need a little bit more of part A over part B, but so, like I said, I mean, it's that I just, as you saw, I just opened the box. And the other thing too about working with regular resin compared to the UV resin is that there is a smell. Some of them, and unfortunately, I think it's even like the ones I would find at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. The scent, the smell can be strong. I don't have it in here. My daughter ended up borrowing it, but I do have one of those plug-up ones to where it can, especially if you're in a smaller, with not as many windows for circulation, but it helps with that. But you would also need to wear a mask, for your safety whenever working with these. And I still use gloves, and when working with the regular resin, because when you get it on your hand, not that it's, I mean, for me, sometimes it just takes a little bit more to try and get it off your hand. I've used, the dish soap. I would use Dawn to help, because you get that, I don't know, it's like I said, it's been a while, but you get this feeling on your hand if you accidentally touch it. Not that it's going to burn you or anything like that, but it just helps to be on the safe side. But let's see if this still works, because what I'm going to end up doing is, and I'll make a little short video and I'll upload that later on what happens when I do my 2-part resin. And I'm going to put it in I'm going to do the big one, and I'm going to do a little one, because unfortunately, I think this may be a bust. Let me see. Nope, it's still in there. I think this was a bust on my pink and purple mermaid tail, using the UV resin on this one. That sucks. Let me see if I can just cook it, continue to cook it, and see what happens. But again, 2-part resin. Do I have my mask in here? No, I've had regular mask. No, I don't have my regular mask. But these are some of the other things that in reference to the molds. This was, it's a 2-part, but this right here I would use to make, let me see if I can find it. These are just the other ways. So this is a bigger version. This right here is a bigger version of what this is, this mold. I didn't come across the mold for the bigger one, but this is just a smaller version of what this could make. But it's my paperweight with that 3D effect. Yep. And then the mermaid tail that I was trying to make with the UV resin. It was supposed to come out like that. See how it's flat for the most part? Because I used the regular resin for these pieces. And then working with resin and paint, these were one, you know, I do have a larger one that I ended up keeping for myself, the first one that I ever made. It was a big oval piece that was also a beach scene, but using wood and acrylic paint with the resin. And this it's one of these things that takes days because I use different layers in order to get the effect that's in there, you know, with the waves as it's hitting the shore. Like I said, we're going to attempt. I don't have my mask, but that's okay. I do have a window open, and I'm only going to use a small amount. But normally, yes, you want to be wearing a mask because of the smell. And you want to work in a ventilated area when you're working with resin. So I'm actually going to use, this is my little table. And I already got gloves on, but I am going to use the mixing sticks because normally I have my own, but I'll use the mixing sticks that it came with. And we're going to work with the little tails. All right. I can get these open. All right. Just so to refresh my memory. As it says, gotta wear my reading glasses for this. Mix ratio is 1:1. Stirring time, and that's the other thing about working with the regular resin, is to make sure it's fully incorporated, the amount of time that you have to spend mixing it. Open time is 30 to 40 minutes. Demold is within 24 to 48 hours. And then full cure. So in order for it to go from, liquid to the hard stuff, it basically comes out like hard plastic. That can take, really, the reason why it shows even up to 7 days is because it depends on the size of the project. I mean, because like the bigger the molds, compared to the tiny ones, it just takes more time. Okay. So normally what I do is, and I eyeball it. And see, it's even got a seal on this sucker. But yet, see, it's got a seal on that. Just trying to open it. All right, so this is part A. And then we got part B. Yeah, it's supposed to be childproof. See what I mean? Even though it comes sealed for, you know, this thing can sweat, I guess. But I have heard the horror stories in reference to people would order this stuff, and when they get the package, it already looks like that, to where it looks like it may be leaking. And in fact, when you open it, the seal isn't, you know, sealed properly. And I guess that's the other reason why it's a good thing to use those little cups that it comes with. So that way, you know, you're getting equal parts. But I like to do it my way. And this one, part B, is the one that is a little bit more runny, I guess. So that's the part that I pour into part A. All right. And now we get to mixing. Now with this one here, there are tools to help with mixing resin, especially if you're doing the much larger products, because people would use the same type of hard resin to, you know, and Terry of Terry's Tips, and Tricks, she's worked with resin, and she's made tabletops. So yeah, for sure. And I've seen those videos where you're talking about paint buckets. People would have paint buckets, and they would use this motorized device to mix the resin. But because, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but because of the mixing, you guys can see the bubbles that are developing in there. But yeah, you want to make sure it's very nice and incorporated, because then you're going to come out with pieces that don't fully harden and can be almost just as, you know, soft and bendable. Which this specific resin, it's supposed to be the part B is the hardener, but it's supposed to be a hard plastic like piece when it's done and it's fully hardened. And see, the more you stir, the more you get those bubbles. But also, that's the reason why, you know, and in reference to the open time, you want to be careful, because you do want, after you're done, you know, mixing, you do want there to be a time for you to let it sit, because as it sits, and you don't want it to sit too long though, but as it sits, the bubbles are going to rise to the top. And that's why it makes it easier if you're using a lighter or your mini blow dryer type thing to provide heat to that top layer, and it pops the bubbles. Because if you don't pop the bubbles, again, depending on the piece that you're trying to create, those bubbles will eventually pop as it's hardening, but it's going to create holes. It's going to create cracks in your pieces, especially if the bubbles are on the edge of the piece. And then also what ends up happening, I don't know if you guys remember when I was first starting to mix this, it was kind of a foggy type look to it. And now it's a little bit more clear. Bubbly, but clear. Now, depending on what you're making, you can always add it directly to, and I do have smaller cups. I do have smaller cups, but if you're going to be working with, you know, different colors to make your piece, you do want to have different cups to form the different colors. Because sometimes, depending again on the pieces that I'm making, I'll have like 3 or 4 different cups set out, and you know, and I'm mixing them with all the different colors. So as I'm pouring them into the molds, it's, you know, it's already mixed, it's already done. So all I have to do is to give it a moment to settle, let those bubbles rise to the top. Because if I'm having to mix it, you know, while it's in the mold, all I'm doing is creating more bubbles. So I'm going to do, I'm going to work with 3 colors. I'm going to do, because I was working with the wine color on that first tail that I tried to do. So I'm going to make one with the wine color. I'm still going to make one with the pink. And then I think what I'm going to do is just make one clear and add glitter to it. There's so much static in the cups. It's making the resin go to the side of it. And sometimes that's why you need your own little extra supplies, because there's more in there, but got to have your own mixing sticks. And I do have the taller ones as well. You want to make sure you get that nice and incorporated, mixed into that resin, because you don't want clumps. There's the pink. don't know, maybe I'll use what goes with that. Maybe a little bit more of the I think it's basically the same color, but not. I think I'm going to mix a little bit of this glitter with the chunky glitter on the clear one. All right, so now we're going to do, I'm going to use the clear one, the small tail. That's where I'm going to put the glitter in that one. All right. Now let's add some of that chunky glitter. And then cool thing about this one, the multi-container, let's add a little bit more of that teal blue to get the tiny glitters in there. Come on. Then I'm going to use my tiny stirring stick for this one. And I do want to try and push down some of that chunky glitter. I mean, if you give it enough time, it'll it'll sink anyways, but because even though we don't want to ignore the backside, that's okay, that's where some of the flaws are. Because some pieces, you know, you're not paying attention to the backside for the most part. But I'm just trying to make sure that I get some of the glitter and the chunky glitter mixed in there. Let's get a little bit more of that. Get in there. There we go. A lot of glitter that time. And it does look like a lot of the chunky glitter is already settling at the bottom. Come on. And then, like I said, what I'm going to do, because this is one that has to sit for a minimum of 24 hours. Sometimes I do get impatient. And I'll test it, I'll check it. And I'm like, no, too early. but I will make a short video on the demolding. Okay, so that's that one. All right. And it looks like I'm probably going to have a little bit left over, which I can, you know, see if I can make another, find one of my, I could make my turtle. I got a little turtle mold. Turtle. Or, here in Texas, make a Texas. We'll see. But let's do the bigger one now. Give that a moment to sit. Get the, you know, give the bubbles a chance to rise to the top. And let's go ahead and work on the bigger tail. No, stay on your side. Oh, this one really came out dark. Oh, might have added just a little bit too much wine to this one. Yep, they're starting to mix. And that's fine. I don't want too much of the wine, even though I want it to blend a little bit right here. I don't want it to go in there too much. Come on, give me some more pink. The wine part is trying to get into the pink side. So I'm going to cheat and add a little bit more of the clear. To the pink side. And add a little bit more pink. Because the wine side is trying to overpower the pink. I don't want to lose too much of the pink. Come on, get back over there. Uh-oh. Yep. I'm losing more of the pink because the wine wants to be a bully and overpower the pink. Let's try to keep more pink on this side. Come on, dude. Yep. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. I know not that there's much chat going on right now. Hey, Eric. Hey, Drew. Thank you guys for popping in if you're still there. I'm trying to keep the pink from staying more pink because the wine color keeps trying to get in here. What I should have done was, like I did with the first mold, I should have painted the tail, you know, with the powders first, so that way it can try to stand out. But no, I didn't think to do that this time around. I went straight to just adding the powder to the resin. And the darn wine color just keeps blending in with this. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how it's going to come out tomorrow. It still didn't, you know, shouldn't be bad at all. So with my glitter one, and it looks like I do still have a little bit left to work with. So I think, let me see. Let me see what other small mold I have. See, I even have my hibiscus molds. These are for coasters, but these are too big. The molds are too big. So how about I make, for those of you guys that are still watching, do we want a turtle or do we want the Texas? Do we want to make a turtle or Texas? Because I believe with what's left in this one, I have enough to make. So I got a turtle. All right, let's do the turtle. Now the color, what color should we make the turtle? Turtle. Should I keep it clear and then just add glitter? I can do the green. Let's do a green glitter turtle. Might even have still a little bit more after this. The thing too about working with tiny molds is you want to make sure you get, because and I'm going to have to use my tiny, the stick that has a pointer on it, because that way I can push some of the, guess what? We are going to make Texas as well, because I have enough. I have enough. To do the Texas. Do the Texas. right. Man, it's all shaky. I'm trying to make sure that the resin gets to where the legs are. We don't want a turtle without legs. Come on, get in there. Get in there. All right. All right. Green turtle, let's go. Green. Might have put a little too much glitter. There's no such thing as too much glitter, is there? Get a little bit into the legs, because the glitter will sink into, come on, get in there. Other leg. Get into the head. We want the glitter everywhere on the turtle. Come on, in there too. Do I have the, I don't have the green powder with me. It's in the, one of these drawers or boxes. So most of the glitter is in the body. Come on, stay in the leg. Stay. And get in there. All right. All right. So what are we going to make Texas? We just playing around. I haven't really used the color orange, so I guess we're making Texas orange. Let's add just a little bit more green to the turtle. There we go. I just now saw that message, so I made Texas orange. I didn't, I mean, I have, it's more of a fuchsia color. I was thinking red, but I wanted something that I haven't done. So I haven't done orange. So we're going to do orange for Texas. Gonna make sure it gets into all the crevices. Come on. I'm sure we're probably going to still have some clear spots, but that's okay. We're just having fun crafting. Not like I'm trying to sell these, right? I could gift them. I've got family and friends here in Texas. Because here in Texas, I'm sorry, this Texas mold, it's it's got a keychain that hopefully I'm not covering. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna make sure that I keep that clear. I don't want that hole to disappear. But even if it does, I do have what do you call that? The backs that I can put on the backs of these. All right. Let's use my handy dandy. Some of them, the bubbles looks like they've popped on their own, which a lot of the times it will do that. It'll pop on its own as it's having a chance to settle. It looks good. And sometimes the bubbles can be a little bit on the stubborn side if they don't want to pop. But that's why I like these sticks, because wherever you see a bubble, you can just take the stick to it and pop them. I don't see a lot, but I hear one of the cats meowing. This one has more bubbles because it hasn't really had a chance to sit like the others. Oh, and the other thing about when you're working with resin, that's why I try to keep the cats out of the, I'm trying to keep the cats out of here, is if you've got their fur flying around or anything like that, it can land. And that's why sometimes you can take, if you've got like, but I'm using it right now, storage, but these type of containers, they work perfect to where you can use it as a dome to protect your pieces. Because with the pieces, again, you know, you've got your own hair that can get into it, or lint, or whatever that, you know, the floaties around here. You want to protect whatever it is you're trying to make, especially if, you know, having, if what you're making is going to be a gift and you want it to be as perfect as possible. So you don't want to see any cat hair or anything like that. I still see bubbles trying to pop. Hey, Terry. Yes, that was going to be I'm glad that you popped in. Yeah. I was trying to play around with the resin today You know, it's been so long since I have, and it goes to show because I was trying to make a UV resin piece, you know, with the mermaid tail. But let me see. I've had it. I mean, it keeps hardening, but that was one of the things I completely forgot about. If you make it too dense, mixing it with powders and glitter or whatever, that when you try to cook it, it's not going to harden all the way through because there's still some liquid under there. So this one is ruined. And then I made an eyeball piece unintentionally. This one here, it's got the glow in the dark powder. That's what the ring that you're seeing. I'm scheduled to deliver food, watching you while I wait. Okay. Well, thank you. But I did forget about that piece of information too, because that was one method that I rarely used. But for the most part, the two ways to pop the bubbles, well, three ways, you know, popping it yourself, at least the bubbles that you can see, using my mini heated blow dryer. But the other thing that I like to use is the lighter that you would use for like your barbecuing, the one that has the long neck on it. That's what I would use to help pop the bubbles on my resin pieces. But thank you for that, because I have forgotten that if you use a regular spray bottle with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, that will also help pop the bubbles. So we got an orange Texas. Well, this is supposed to be a pink and wine color on the large tail. Trying to make sure I get the bubbles on the edges. And then this one here is just a glitter, both the small glitter and chunky glitter, teal and blue tail, mermaid tail. And then we got a green turtle. My desk must be a little bit lopsided because I can see, and that's the other thing when you're working with resin pieces. You want to make sure you're on a level. Oops. Because if you're not on a level, I could lay it flat on the desk too. It doesn't help that what it's sitting on. I don't want to lift it. It's still too liquidy. But that's the other thing that I liked about, and just make sure I didn't use this one. I don't want it sticking to my desk. That's the thing about using these little guys right here, because I've had to use it. If something was not leveled, I would stick these underneath. That is better. All right, so we got 4 pieces that I'm going to be doing a demolding on tomorrow, or on a short video that I'll do over the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for that. But what you can also do, because they are reusable, I don't just throw them all away, especially if I'm able to empty out the cup as much as possible. You can still reuse these. a couple of more times. The same thing with the sticks. I do have silicone stirring sticks because those are a lot easier to clear. You know, you just wipe them off and then you can use it to mix, you know, especially if you're dealing with different colors and whatnot. Whenever you're coloring the resin, that's just, you know, so that way you're not just, you know, using it once and then you're tossing it. So I just try to make sure I wipe it off as much as I can. And then that way I know, you know, if I use this stick for something pink, then I can turn around and still use something pink. But it's not just a one and done type. So I just set it to where they can dry and not have to worry about I use silicone cups and silicone instruments. Yes. I know I have all of that. I do have silicone. I have the tiny ones, especially because if I'm working with the tiny pieces, but I do have silicone cups. I do have the silicone stirring sticks because when I first started, that's not what I was using. I was using just the regular sticks that would come with the resin. But I always ended up finding it, you know, a lot easier. You know, you're not wasting, not necessarily wasting, but you're not going through your supplies so easily because, you know, you're using it once and then it's done. But so I've got the bigger mermaid tail. I've got the bigger mermaid tail, the smaller one. I've got a turtle and Texas that I'll be doing a separate short video over the next couple of days to show, and because that's always the fun part is the demolding of it. But Terry, so this is just one of the brands I've used in reference to the silicone, the resin. This is just one of the brands. There was one that I ended up finding, and I would normally buy them in bigger jugs because at that time I was doing a lot more projects, and I mean, especially based here in Texas. And when I was selling the crafts that I would make out of resin, being in Texas, you know, and I would always remind the customers whenever we would do the farmers markets and stuff, I was like, even though it's a hard plastic and it's hard right now, you don't want this to be in direct sunlight. It is not designed, you know, for an outdoor piece. Because what ends up happening if you're not careful, and this was just one of my many warped projects that happened, but if you're not careful, especially even just storing it, because that's what happened when it was stored. This was supposed to be my display thing that I would just prop up on the table, and I would hang necklaces and stuff off of this. But when I was storing it, even though it's in the house, I think at one point it was in the garage and we didn't pull it out, you know, bring it up here soon enough. So that's what happens with the heat, is that it'll soften it a little bit, and if it's not kept in flat surface, that's what's going to happen. It'll soften and then it'll warp. So that's the downside. And I know there's different resin for different projects. Yes, because I know that there are, and that's what I was trying to find. That's what I was trying to find in reference to the resin brands on the ones that can take up to a certain temperature. You love your trays. And that was the other thing that I was one of the last things I was trying to work was like I got the food grade kind of resin because I decorated a spatula. I decorated, I believe I've done one, or I was trying to. I was supposed to be decorating a cutting board and even the breakfast trays. You know, I was going to create like a beach scene on that one there. But I do have or had the food grade resin, but it was the ones because I created anchors. I've done what was the other one? They were anchors, and there's something else it's a decoration piece. And but yeah, definitely not designed to be, because when we were at the farmers market, even though it's not in the direct sunlight, um I mean, and I tried to make them thick, and that's the other thing there, that it's thick enough to where it won't be affected as much. But as you can tell, that one there, it was pretty thick. It's pretty thick, but still it warped. So I don't know what brand you use for your resin. And like I said, with a lot of the stuff, they ended up in boxes and in storage. So, and it's been almost 2 years probably since the last time I crafted. So I am really, really out of practice. I'm just using the light to help me find bubbles. Or that could just be glitter. Yeah, it looks like a lot of all the chunky glitter has settled. So I'm wondering if I should add powder to that. But for the most, I lost, did I lose reception? You have 3 types. What brands I'm using now because I'm not okay, that's right. You definitely not definitely, but more than likely have more experience with the bigger projects when it comes to using resin. Like I said, for the most part, the biggest products was probably making the trays. That was probably my biggest, because I've seen the videos. I've seen some of these gorgeous things that have come out. People, I mean, you're talking about table length projects using resin, and wood pieces. And I was like, how are they doing that with no bubbles? I mean, so there was a lot of videos at the time when I was really into this a couple of years ago, that I saw people doing, large things. And then, these my paperweights are probably the thickest because of how high you see in reference to the dome. That's probably the thickest. Now these I didn't have to worry about warping, when it came to making my paperweights. But as you can see, I mean, I have glitter in here, but I can see bubbles. I can see bubbles that got trapped in there. But I liked it when I made my paperweights. Hey, Ma. And how long did it take you? How long did it take you to work on doing a table? Because if these tiny pieces can take a minimum of 24 hours, when it comes to large projects like that, I mean, because like I said, I was watching a lot of different YouTube channels, you know, on the variety of stuff that can be done with resin. And it was just crazy. It was just crazy on all the different things. Um, there's this one channel that I was following, and I'm still following her, but she doesn't do resin anymore. She got into tufting. Is that what it's called? And Terry, I don't know if you know what that is, or Ma, same for you, because I know you do craft. But she got into tufting, and that's her something that she's been doing for probably the last year at least, from what I've seen of her channel now. But she was doing a lot when it came to resin, and she was one channel that I followed and was inspired by for some of the pieces that I ended up creating. What was the name of her channel? I can't remember. My tables I had to do in sections so that I could allow the resin to set up in between so that the colors wouldn't mix. Yeah. And you have a video on that? I know I said that, and I really need to go back to your channel and really find and watch those your crafting videos. But I know sometimes, like you did on your live the other day, you will start out doing gig work because you were on the road, and I didn't catch it, but when I went back to see, I was like, oh, she went to doing crafting. Because you started out doing gig work, and then you ended up switching when you got home. Isn't that some sort of weaving? Tufting, yeah. But she uses this, I mean, she was creating all different types of rugs. I think she, I don't know what else she made, but oh my gosh, you're talking about a lot of hard work on that one there too. But she's done some really cool pieces, and I can't remember what the name of her channel was or is. And I do have a box or a basket full of all the practice pieces. All the ones that didn't come out. Ah, okay. See, you've stayed in the mode of crafting. Depending on what's going on in my life, you know, the crafting for sure got put to the side. So I wish I had my lighter, because sometimes I found it easier to use the lighter to help pop the bubbles. I can already tell that the resin is thickened up. That's why whenever you're mixing resin, you don't want to let it sit too long in the cup, because then it'll start to thicken. And that happened to me once. Multitasking, and especially when you're trying to work with different colors. Not that it completely hardened in the cup, but it just started to thicken. Again, I'm just trying to make sure the bubbles stay off the edges. I know blow drying it, it's softening it up again, but You need a spray bottle with alcohol that provides a very light mist. Yes. Like I said, I never really got into that method. The two methods that I did was the what you just saw and the lighter is my escape from stress. I feel you on that. Yeah, actually, I don't think I've ever used that one. The mold removing spray. I don't think I ever, um, knock on wood. I don't think I ever did have any issues with my molds not coming out, with the exception of when I'm working with UV resin. Not that it's stuck. It's just that the I guess, and not like the mold is thick, because especially towards the bottom, um, the uh, the mold on these aren't exactly, you know, I mean, I know it looks thick, but the piece right here, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but I can see the light through it. So it's not that thick underneath. But for whatever reason, when, working with the UV resin can be a bit tricky because it doesn't cook all the way through. Depending on the type of resin crafts you're doing, sometimes you do want it to set up more before you pour. Yeah, that is true. But I don't know. Maybe this will inspire me to get back into it more and doing it. But I tell you, there's just so many different options. It's like, do I want to stick to doing jewelry, or like I said, this is just one of the practice ones that I did using the wood. Hey, Caleb, not out doing gig work today, or at least not yet, not until for the dinner shift. Because I really had fun working with the wood and the acrylic paint. That's real sand and the shells that I have in here. But that was something that I really had fun doing. Is Dallas a nice area? I have family that's out there, so I don't know. I've never lived out there. It's a city, that's for sure. But I always had fun. Oh, you're looking to moving to Texas. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about the northern part is that that's where a lot more storms take place. I don't know what it is during the storm season. I'm always, seeing that part of Texas during in the northern part of Texas, that it gets a lot of storms out that way. So that's my only thing about the northern part of Texas. But yes, that's always been a big thing of mine working with resin, no matter what it is, whether it's just the straight mold or working with wood pieces, is I love creating different types of beach scenes. And just like with that one, that does take a couple of days because I create a layer, design using color or whatever, and then I have to let that harden, and then I have to do another layer before I add more color and stuff like that. We should do some live streams together. That way we can have company and motivation. That's right. Especially, like I said, to doing these things again, working with the wood pieces, because these days it's messy because you have to have it sitting on a piece, and when you pour, as you already know, when you pour it, it's just coming all down the sides. And if you're familiar with this, because sometimes I have a hard time, because with the different suggestions on what to cover the base of the board, so that way the resin is not sticking to the other side. What have you used? I've used a couple of different methods that I've seen from, watching on YouTube. The other crafters that use resin a lot, and especially this type of method on the pouring, on what they use to protect the other side. Because I've done the painter's tape, and there was something else. But even that, I'd be having a hard time because the heat of the resin on the, with the glue, it really makes it stick. You know, like I said, I tried to follow, and that's the only thing I didn't like about when it comes to pouring, because it's this part that can ruin the project for me. I mean, that's why it's not perfect, but you can see there's a lot of the resin, or not a lot, but there are some resin that got through the tape. But it would always be such a hard time to remove the stuff from the backside. Try to see. And then this was the other thing. Oh, this is the anchor that I was talking about. So these were one of the things I've done. I forgot what were the other type of molds that I have, but I've done the anchor with the beach scene. I've done the bowls with the beach scene. Now these were fun to try and, you know, to make with the only thing I had to be very careful is some of the edges would be so thin that by the time it hardens, it's a little bit on the sharp side. So, but these I think was one of the first times that I was making the resin bowls. When you, I like for the idea for these is that, you know, you get home, you can throw some of the stuff in there, you know, in the entryway. I've got an ocean. Wait, everyone is so nice in Texas. Nobody gets. That's not true, Caleb. There's mad people everywhere.
You ain't been on when I'm on it.
I've got an ocean scene with real shells and stuff from Jamaica and my sand. Awesome. Sorry, I'm here. I got you in my ear. I'm just doing house stuff. No worries, but thank you for doing that, Ma. Appreciate it. All right, looks like I've hit my 2-hour mark. It is going on 1 o'clock, and we're going to be heading out soon to do some gig work. So I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here. For those of you guys that have been hanging out with me, whether chatting or just watching what's going on, I truly appreciate all the support. Hopefully you guys will keep coming back, but don't forget to smash that like button on the way out if you haven't already done so. But like I said, be on the lookout. It's not going to be for a couple of days, but these are small projects. So at the minimum, it's going to be at least 24 hours before I get to demold it, especially because of the turtle. I need to make sure that it hardens completely because of the little legs. But over the next couple of days, be on the lookout for the short when I demold these little beauties, or at least I hope they come out. But you guys stay safe, whatever you guys are doing out there. Hi, Mila. Thank you for popping in. Sorry, I'm just getting ready to end the live stream, but hopefully you'll keep coming back to check out what else I'll be doing. But like I said, stay safe, whatever you guys are doing out there. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. It is Thursday, right? No, Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
The rest of your Thursday, and I'll catch you on the next video. Until then, adios for now. Bye. Thank you for joining.
Those are yours. Those are too small.
Bye.